if you take the racial slur out of that sentence, it's just a little bit less racist. Still racist, just a little bit less racist. Welcome to Racist of the Week. My name is Reese Waters. This is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. Today's nominee, convicted felon Donald Trump.
The context of the fact that if they're, as we've talked about, going to now start referring to former President Trump as convicted felon Donald Trump.
Oh, no, it's not for the mugshots comment.
And then I got indicted a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against.
Or the bringing two felons on stage to endorse him and appeal to black people.
Come on up, fellas. Rapper Sleepy Hollow.
They always gonna whisper your accomplishments and shout your failures. Trump gonna shout the wins for all of us.
Make America great again.
Or even the sneakers. It doesn't even have anything to do with the 34 felonies he was just convicted of. No. This is a whole nother racism. According to a former producer whose NDA recently expired, there are tapes of Trump dropping N-bombs on a contestant of The Apprentice. Trump is accused of using the slur during discussions about the winner of the first season. Now, rumors have long circulated that Trump used the N-word during The Apprentice's filming, with many calling for former executive producer Mark Burnett to release the footage. Emmy-nominated producer Bill Pruitt, whose NDA expired after 20 years, shared his account with Slate detailing Trump's comments. And if there's a takeaway here, other than the whole Donald Trump being racist, is we need to put some more time on them NDAs. I think so. Yeah, I think we've all learned to put a little bit more time on those NDAs. Now, Bill Pruitt recalls a discussion about the final contestant, Bill Ranchich, who won the season, and Kwame Jackson, a black man. During the discussion, Trump allegedly asked, would America buy a N winning? So, not just did he use the slur, he used the slur in the context of, I don't know if America is really going to get behind a black dude winning, a business competition. You know what I mean? I think that might be a little too far-fetched. Blacks in business? I don't know. You know what? If you take the racial slur out of that sentence, it's just a little bit less racist. Still racist, just a little bit less racist. That's how racist that statement is, that you could lose the slur and he would still be a nominee for Racist of the Week. Here is the whole exchange. Quote, I think Kwame would be a great addition to the organization, which was said to Trump, who winces while his head bobs around in reaction to what he's hearing and clearly resisting. Why didn't he just fire her, Trump asked, referring to Omarosa. It's a reasonable question, given that this is the first time we've ever been in this situation. None of this is something we expected. That's not his job, Beanstalk says to Trump. That's yours. Trump's head continues to bob. I don't think he knew he had the ability to do that. Trump winces again. Yeah, to no one in particular. But would America buy an N winning? Kepcher's pale skin goes bright red. I turn my gaze towards Trump. He continues to wince. He's serious and he's adamant about not hiring Jackson. Yep, just as bad as advertised. And the contestant in question, Kwame Jackson, himself gave his opinion of 45 felon previously, in case you were wondering about the nature of their relationship.
There have been rumors about this story for years, but now we have Pruitt coming forward and saying that he actually heard Trump use that word. Have you heard about this before? And what's your reaction to now knowing you were allegedly the subject of that comment?
In regards to what he said about the N-word, One, let's be clear, he did not say it to my face because it would have gone down much differently. So I cannot verify that he said that. I don't know if the tape exists. I do believe Bill Pruitt. He is a friend, and I'm happy that he finally came forward. I cannot give him a red badge of courage or profiling courage like John F. Kennedy for doing that 20 years later. But we are where we are, and because of that, we are in a situation where we're not asking the right question. It's not whether he called me the N-word. The question we should be asking is, because he did call me the N-word, what kind of permission structure has been created downstream to make racism flourish in America?
But oh yeah, that's right. Tell me again, Maggie Haberman of the New York Times. He's not racist despite the lawsuits and the ad he took out and not wanting to have a black accountant and dropping N-bombs on people. Because he once dated a biracial woman and she said so. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to Maggie Haberman soon. Now, the Biden-Harris campaign put out a whole statement in response. Quote, no one is surprised that Donald Trump, who entered public life by falsely accusing black men of murder and entered political life spreading lies about the first black president, reportedly used the N-word to casually denigrate a successful black man. Anyone notice a pattern? Donald Trump is exactly who black voters know him to be, a textbook racist who disrespects and attacks the black community every chance he gets, and the most ignorant man to ever run for president. It's why black voters kicked him out of the White House in 2020. It's why they'll make him a loser a second time this November. You know, it never ceases to amaze me the mental gymnastics that black conservatives will go to explain why Donald Trump isn't racist. And it's all right there. You ever learn the closest distance between 2 points? It's a straight line. It's a straight line of racism from the 70s all the way to 2024. Also points Biden for calling him the most ignorant man to run for president. That was pretty strong. Now, Trump himself has consistently denied using the N-word, even addressing the rumors on Twitter in 2018, claiming Burnett told him no such tapes exist. And now I need to holler at executive producer Mark Burnett because he's been receiving a little bit of smoke, but not nearly as much as he deserves for sitting on this for all that time. Now, I'm no babe in the woods. I understand that there are NDAs in place that keep a lot of stuff under wraps. I understand all of that. I understand there's business interests, and it would look bad if you were to release something and people felt like they couldn't trust you. I get it. At the same token, how is it that me as a black man am supposed to feel about you and the products that you're putting out, knowing that you allowed this man who was spouting this kind of vitriol behind the scenes to rise to the highest office of the land, where he could affect policy affecting the ends that he denigrated behind closed doors? I get where you're coming from a business perspective, but don't expect me to rock with you. And if we're being honest, I haven't rocked with you in a minute. I mean, I was a fan of Survivor, like back in the day, back when Richard and Tina and Ethan won. But ever since then, it's really, I can't rock with Survivor. Ever since, let's play a game of hopscotch. It got weird, just doing pickup sticks for food. That was all weird. Also, Colby definitely should have beat Tina in season 2. Now, the reality is this behavior cannot persist without enabling. And in this case, it came from our very own.
What you describe in your book is a year-long effort to learn the truth about a rumor that Donald Trump had been caught on tape using the N-word while working on The Apprentice. And here's how you wrote about confirming with a source that the tape does in fact exist. Page 322 of your book. On this phone conversation, I was told exactly what Donald Trump said. Yes, the N-word and others in a classic Trump goes nuclear rant. And when he'd said them, during production, he was mic'd, and there's definitely an audio track. For over a year, I'd been so afraid of hearing the specifics from someone who'd been in the room. Hearing the truth freed me from that fear. Did you hear the tape? Or did you hear a description of the tape?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And in this book, I describe this long journey of hearing these rumors over and over again. And when I had an opportunity to meet up with 3 different sources, they described the same exact statements. After I closed the book, I had an opportunity to go out in Los Angeles and sit down with the person who actually has a copy of the tape and I heard his voice as clear as you and I are sitting here.
You have heard the tape.
I have heard
since
the
publication of this book.
Absolutely.
See, here's the problem, Omarosa. That wasn't the catalyst for you parting ways with Donald Trump. That is the problem. You might have been miffed at it at the time, but not so miffed that you weren't going to leave and divorce yourself from the man that felt that way about you. You waited until it was in your self-interest, i.e. a book, for you to communicate the reality of what was going on behind closed doors. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
But wait, there's more.
I'm trying to find out at least what context it was used in to help us maybe try to figure out a way to spin it. I said, well, sir, can you think of any time that this might have happened? And he said no.
Well, that's not true.
He goes, how do you think I should handle it? And I told him exactly what you just said, Marissa, which is, well, it depends on what scenario you're talking about. And he said, well, why don't you just go ahead and put it to bed?
Here you have not one, not two, but three black women out here discussing how to spin the fact that Donald Trump dropped an N on a black man. And I especially appreciate the question, trying to figure out what context he used it and exactly how to spin it. That came from Katrina Pearson. So what kind of context were possible in your mind for how he could have used it? You thought he might have just been rapping to F the police? Is Donald Trump somebody that's been known to rap along to NWA and Public Enemy in his spare time? Is he a big fan of Doggy Style? Like, I don't understand what context this man could have used that wouldn't have been problematic. This whole thing is absolutely disgusting. Three black women discussing the man calling a black man the N-word. I didn't hear the word disgust. I didn't hear the word unacceptable. Absolutely nothing. And it brings us to a very pertinent point about enabling, okay? Enabling always goes bad, and it looks worse under the light of day, because you think if you enable, maybe one day this behavior will turn around. But in reality, you are the one that's greasing the skids for this behavior to continue. It's only going to get worse. And eventually when that behavior hits the wall, you will have been the one who made all of that possible. Which brings us to today, where I'm listening to audio of three black women discussing how to spin Donald Trump dropping an N-bomb on Kwame. But congratulations to convicted felon Donald Trump. You know what, Mark Burnett, you can get some too. Katrina Pearson, you absolutely can get some too, since you want to protect them so much. Since you want to protect them so much, you protect them in the halls of Racists of the Week. You are all our Racists of the Week. Omarosa, you stay on probation for now, but I got my eye on you. As always, you guys see somebody you would like to nominate, go ahead and leave it in the comments, or you can email me at reese.waters@gmail.com, and be sure to subscribe to the page and make sure you get notified when the next video drops.
What I want to say, first of all, when I seen the video, everything in the video is egregious. I'm against. I don't support all the charges that's alleged against him. I don't support any of that domestic violence. I'm totally against it. So when I seen the video, yeah, I was kind of upset with it. Being that I know him, he's not necessarily a friend, but yeah, I was upset when I seen it.
A few moments later.
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
How? I need to know how. Somebody call Jim Jones. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Hey, CNN. Yeah. Let me holler at you. Let me holler at you for a second. So first, you hit us this week with the Jasmine Crockett interrogation.
Yeah, and I hear that, but she went after your appearance, and then you went back at her 1,000-fold.
I did, in a very lawyerly way.
But do you Obviously, she started it. I'm not disputing that. But
Yeah.
do you regret that at all?
When you described Green in this request for clarification as a bleached blonde, bad-built, butch body, which I had to look at my notes to read, any regret?
And now this.
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
Here I am minding my own black business, and I see Cameron is trending next to Diddy. And that would be extremely disappointed, because I will first of all tell you that I am a Cameron fan. And when you see anybody that you are a fan of trending next to Diddy, that can never be good. And guess what? This wasn't. But the reason why I'm a fan of Cameron is because this is the man who once said, quote, "And the same brother that you knew came through in the rain, same color as you who, now you know that's the same color as doo-doo. I'm the shit, call me Pepe Le Poo Poo." That's art. That's art. That is art right there. Not to mention the fact that he popularized all pink everything. He wore pink, he wore purple, and that really spoke to me as somebody who never had the most expensive clothes. I never had the name brand stuff. I would just get the stuff that was left over at Marshall's and Ross. And quite often, that was some very weird colors. That was some very weird colors. Like, I never got the first choice of colorway. It was a lot of pink and greens and like yellows and oranges and things like that. He made me feel seen. He made me feel seen. I was such a fan. I was willing to lie for them and say that they beat the Locks and that Versus, and that might be the biggest lie I've ever told in my life. So I am a fan, but what the hell was this?
Thanks for being here. First, when you saw that video of Diddy, Cassie in that hotel, did you recognize that Sean Combs?
What I want to say, first of all, when I seen the video, everything in the video was egregious. I'm against. I don't support all the charges that's alleged against him. I don't support any of that, trafficking minors, domestic violence. I'm totally against it. So when I seen the video, yeah, I was kind of upset with it. Being that I know him, he's not necessarily a friend, but yeah, I was upset when I seen it.
Okay, so we're off to a solid start. That was a very long preamble, but a solid start just to get that out of the way at the beginning of the interview.
But
did you
as far as
recognize
everything
him?
I just said?
Did you recognize that kind of anger at all from your experiences?
I don't know like that. What do you mean? Do I be recognized? Did I recognize him? I seen him. What do you mean my experiences? I seen him and I thought it was disgusting. I didn't do a zoom in to see if it was really him or nothing, but he admitted it was him, so yeah, it was him.
Why is this contentious? I need to understand why is this contentious already? Like you are here talk about Diddy and you seem to be reacting angrily that you're being asked about Diddy. Did you know you were here to talk about Diddy?
What did you think about the apology that he gave in that other video?
Ain't me for this. The apology ain't for me to decide. It's for Cassie. What I think about it don't matter. He ain't do nothing to me. Cassie need to ask Cassie if she accept the apology. I told you how I feel. I said what I said.
Okay, there's some truth to that what Cassie thinks of the apology is the most important, but you are the one who's on television right now, and we're asking you what you think. So anything at all would be helpful.
I want to play a conversation that you had on your podcast back in September with Mace. Listen.
Yeah.
When you had your record deal, why did you take me to Biggie Smalls and not Bad Boy?
Man, it's almost gonna bring me to tears to say this. I just, being that I saw you as such a good friend, I wanted to put you with somebody I knew with.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. A lot of people ask me that on Instagram, man. Don't have me just on here crying and shit, man. I don't want to get emotional in here, man.
Instantly, I knew Biggie would do right by you.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, is there something known in the industry about how Diddy?
Did you just take a drink out? This interview is like 3 minutes.
Is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
Why, Cam? Why? Why? Now, if you weren't giving this interview on this topic at this time, it would have been disrespectful to say that to a woman who's interviewing you, and especially problematic to say it to a black woman. Aren't we always like, oh, protect black women? And there are a lot that have this kind of platform, and this is what you bring to her platform. Then you add on top of that, you just said.
What I want to say, first of all, when I seen the video, everything in the video is egregious. I'm against. I don't support all the charges that's alleged against him. I don't support any of that trafficking, minors, domestic violence. I'm totally against it. So when I seen the video, yeah, I was kind of upset with it.
But literally 2 minutes later.
Is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
How? I need to know how. Somebody call Jim Jones. Somebody call Jim Jones, Joel Santana. I need to understand how this is even possible. How is this even possible that it didn't occur to you that might not be the move? At no point, Cam, were you like, you know what? I clearly didn't know they were going to come up and ask me about Diddy, but since they asked me about Diddy, let me go ahead and not go with the horsepower. You know what I mean? I'm going to call audible. You freestyle. I have seen you freestyle on Rap City and murder it. I know you can freestyle, and I know you got media training because you got your own show. You couldn't call an audible and to say, you know what, this is the Diddy interview. I ain't gonna go with the horsepower. Next time I'm going with the horsepower. Next interview I have, I don't care if it's at the White House, I'm going with the horsepower. But I can't do it. I can't do it to my sister. We here talking about Diddy out of respect for the women.
I'm just going off what Mace said. Mace took me to Biggie. I don't really know Puffers like Mace know Puff. So I appreciate what Mace said. And of course, that's my brother. So if he felt that way, then he felt that way. I can't really tell you how Puff moves or anything like that. Mace may know better than me because he was signed to Puff. I wasn't. But my show does come on at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. It's called It Is What It Is. And y'all make sure y'all check it out. I mean, I might get some more information out of Mace from there. But for me to tell you how Puff act and all that, I don't know. I never was signed to him.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not actually mad at that, that he just pushed his show. He obviously has pushed his horsepower. Was that why you showed up here today? Was that why you showed up, Cam? Because obviously you didn't come here to give a good interview. And while we're on the topic, she would have been well within her rights, Abby Phillips, to end this interview the moment he said cheeks. I mean, really, the moment he said cheeks, typically I feel like if the word cheeks come out in an interview, at that point, you have the ability to end the interview. I'm not mad at her for continuing. I actually think she did as good a job as she possibly could to try and ask him something to extract something decent out of this time that was spent.
What about the industry in general? I mean, so many people have pointed out that Diddy couldn't get away with this stuff if there weren't a lot of people protecting him. Do you think that's the case?
Who the talent agent for this joint? Like, you think I'll be sitting around watching what Diddy do and all this? I didn't know this was a Diddy joint y'all invited me to. Yo, who booked me for this joint?
All right.
Wow, and I don't be sitting around watching Diddy and all that. Yeah,
thanks.
Man, come on, man.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. You enjoy.
I just want you to look at her face. I just want you to look at her face. I just want you to look. I have seen that face. I've been met with that face. I have had that face. That is the face that we give to one another when you have disappointed the ancestors with your antics, when you have made people look at me sideways because of how left you just went. That is that face.
They said he never gave you niggas money.
Now, as far as for what Cam said in the end, he expressed complete shock and dismay that he was there to talk about Diddy. Now, there's a possibility he didn't know he was there to talk about Diddy, and he just shows up and is disappointed thinking that he was there to talk about something entirely different and was there to talk about Diddy. That is a real possibility. It's also a possibility they told him he was there to talk about Diddy and he disregarded it or forgot or generally doesn't care and pay attention to what these interviews are about. He's just going to come and be Cam. Also a real possibility. We don't know, so we can't speculate as to what the truth of the matter was. However, what I do know is that this man has a show. He has been famous for over 2 decades. He got media training. Okay? Don't give me this. Don't give me this. You put him in a spot and he was unprepared. The man has media training. Don't give me that. No, don't give me. How many shows has this man performed? Y'all gonna give Cam some more credit than that. Y'all gonna put some respect on his name. And by putting respect on his name, it's holding him even more responsible for what he just did. Okay? Once the man shows up, assuming he doesn't know he's there to talk about Diddy, you can say, you know what? I'm not normally here on CNN. I have a show that I can push. I can give me a couple of information. I don't know a whole lot about Diddy, but I can glad hand, you know what I mean? I can freestyle and segue on over to things that I would rather talk about. That's well within his capabilities to do. But he just decided he's going to let the whole interview go left, drink his horsepower, and say he got some cheeks after this. Now, that makes me wonder whether or not this wasn't entirely the point in the first place. Was that the point, Cam? It feels like it was the point. Now, you did say something in your explanation that I felt like was worth watching.
Yeah, no, they invited me on the show to talk about what's going on with Diddy and all that. And then my thing about it was, Mace, stat is that they didn't invite me on to say about how successful our show is or the positive stuff we do in the community, how every day, 5 days a week, Mace talks to kids on a Zoom call. Mace doesn't even promote this. I'm going to promote this for Mace. Is that every day at 5 o'clock, it don't matter what's going on, what's happening, where he's at. It could be money involved. It could be a photo shoot. It could be whatever. He stops what he's doing to talk to kids around the world about being positive and doing what they believe in and so on and so forth. And to the point where, you know, one day he was at my house and he told me, Cam, you can't make no noise. Don't come in. I'm not playing with you. Like, that's how serious, no, but seriously, that's how serious he takes what he does. And we do all these positive things. And you call me on CNN for the bullshit, I'm going to give you the bullshit. That's just what's going to happen. So we got some free promo. I teased the Pink Horsepower. They tried to bring up when Mace bought me the Biggie instead of Puff. And I said, yeah, if you seen it, what you asking me about it for? Like, nigga, it was self-explanatory. So I got us some free promo. I didn't get the shout out to Dipset Couture. Make sure you go online to dipsetcouture.us to order some shirts and everything else. But yeah, I just felt that you try to use me, pause.
Now, Cam is right. Cam is 1,000% right. They don't give us the acknowledgement, and oftentimes they act like we are beneath their platform. You are 100% correct in that regard. How are you going to get there from here when the footage they have of you is you drinking the horsepower? You know what I mean? Like, how you going to get there from here? How you going to get there from here? Next time something positive happens, you think, hey, who should we bring on to talk about this? Well, you remember that dude that drank the horsepower? You remember the dude who drank the horsepower? Yeah, that was good. Let's bring him in and talk about what's going on positive in the community. Which brings me to my next point. You had to know in the conversations whether or not to bring Cameron on air that Abby Phillips had to sign off on that. She had to sign off on that. I don't know that it was her idea. Certainly it wasn't her idea to communicate about Diddy, but she had to sign off on that, okay? I don't know how hard she pushed it. I don't know if she's a Dipset fan as I was, but she had to sign off on that. And how's that gonna go for her next time she tries to bring somebody of Cam's ilk onto the show after it just went that way? As far as CNN is concerned, I don't know whether there was a failure in communication with Cam or whether or not you decided, you know what, let's just go to hell together. Let's get Cameron. We know he has a history of doing this. Let's go to hell together. Oh, y'all Y'all didn't know Cam got history? Yeah. This ain't his cable news. This ain't his first cable news rodeo.
You hurt children.
How do you hurt children by promoting to be an entrepreneur and a CEO and to do right by?
Looking at a principle.
For example.
Yeah, hold it. You're looking at a principle.
Why you don't want to let him talk? You mad. Where'd you start? Current affair, right?
No, wrong.
Well, you're looking
I got
dirt on you, doggy.
Cameron,
I'm going to get at you in a minute.
You go ahead. You get at
I'm going to get at you in a minute.
Listen, you guys.
I am mad. You know why? Because now you and Mace aren't going to get the acknowledgement that you should be getting from the establishment in the first place. And you disrespected a black woman on her show while trying to make the point that women need to be protected. How does that make any sense, Cam? And I will also tell you this.
Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
That hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you. Now I see why Trump brags about having black friends. It's one of the only things that he could possibly brag about. But if you are so popular with black people, why is it always the same 4 or 5 around you all the time? Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Well, he finally did it. He finally did it. Donald Trump said the thing they always say when they get pressed on being racist.
When asked about how he responds to black voters who call him racist, here's what he says.
I have so many black friends that if I were a racist, they wouldn't be friends. They would know better than anybody in FAST.
They would not be with me for 2 minutes if they thought I was racist, and I'm not racist.
And just to underscore the point, I'm not racist.
What is this? In case of racism, break open glass? Like, break open black friends in any emergency. Oh, I'm so glad I got you. Whew, whew, that was close. Whew, I'm so glad I got Lawrence Taylor. Ooh, that was a close one. Now let's address the obvious.
Can people be racist and have black friends?
Yes, they can.
Great,
they
great.
can.
Glad
so
we addressed
you
this
just,
at the top.
and it doesn't mean anything. It says something about that relationship.
It says something about the relationship. It also says something about the black friends. Who are these black friends? You talking about Tim Scott and Herschel Walker? I don't think they have black friends. They would need to say the exact same thing. Also, I would add, it's actually more troubling that you even have to say such a thing.
I've probably all of my life heard every bigot I've ever talked to say that. That's usually their opening line, that some of my best friends are black. And you say that being defensive because it should be a given that you have friends that are black.
You know, when you got to tell me.
Can you, let's just.
When you got to tell me you got so many black friends.
The fact that you have to say it tells us that you really do have some biased tendencies, if not an outright bigot.
You know, bragging about black friends is like bragging about being faithful to your wife. Actually, you can't brag about that.
He told me I reminded him of his daughter. I felt like he was being sympathetic to me. It was really about two things: trying to keep the story from coming out so that it would not hurt my husband and my daughter and I wouldn't lose my life, and that there would be a paper trail and money trail linking me to Donald Trump so that he could not have me killed.
You can't. Okay. Bragging about that would be like bragging that you pay your taxes.
But just months after it opened, the Taj Mahal missed one of its debt payments, and Trump began looking for a bailout.
His empire could be at risk of collapse if the New Jersey Casino Commission decides not to approve Trump's bailout plan.
By the fall of 1991, all 3 casinos had filed for bankruptcy.
No, you can't brag about that either. That's like bragging that you provide for your family. How many bankruptcies he got? Now I see why Trump brags about having black friends. It's one of the only things that he could possibly brag about. But if you are so popular with black people, Why is it always the same 4 or 5 around you all the time who can't come to the cookout?
And if you notice the crowd in the Bronx, he imported a crowd. He could even import a lot of blacks, and only blacks he put on stage was 2 indicted rappers.
These are part of the 8% of black people that have voted for Donald Trump. And again, you know what? I know some black people in my life that voted for Donald Trump.
Fine.
You know, that's fine. That's fine. But y'all are not the majority. It's like young people at bingo.
It takes real effort to go to a black church and have mostly whites in the audience. I mean, in Detroit.
What is that?
I've never heard of that. I've been preaching all my life, and I've never seen a black church in Detroit where the majority of the people in the audience are white.
See, those are sycophants and fanatics. A real black friend, and how we know you don't have them, would have told you that it's a bad look to always criticize leaders of color.
We should remember that he tends to take these kinds of jabs against leaders of color. If you also incorporate Tish James and Alvin Bragg, now certainly those are folks that have him in legal trouble.
Right.
However, but he takes these kinds of shots at leaders of color.
Trump would probably criticize the leader of his own party if he was black. Oh, wait, he did back when he birtherized Obama when he was a Democrat. The only thing that you won't do for black people is have them involved in your businesses.
You've not seen one black business person come into court and accuse him of giving them a deal. Not one. How do you be in business 40 years in New York, which is 2/3 black and Latino, and everybody you did business with was white?
Now let's see, what is more important? We got decades of conduct that's been detrimental to black people in America, or the opinion of Byron Donalds and Lawrence Taylor. Oh, don't forget Chef G.
Everything about race, he's always race baited against blacks. So all you got to do is look at his record. And I've said to any of those that support him, show me where he was on the right side of any race issue.
And it is more BS from the man who argued for and will argue to this day for the execution of 5 innocent young black men.
He was the president, sitting in the White House, president, during George Floyd, probably the biggest race case of our time. What did he say about George Floyd? Oh, I'm sorry. He had them clear the protesters from in front of the church, held up a Bible, and condemned the protesters.
Who looks at the heritage that Simone and I come from on the great continent of Africa as whole countries.
This is the man that said when we saw the march in Charlottesville, where they were saying things to protect a Confederate statue, Robert E. Lee, and saying anti-Semitic things, he said they're firing people on both sides.
What Donald Trump do for black businesses?
Well, Donald Trump ain't done jack for black businesses, and he hasn't done during his 4 years. They'd like to tout, oh well, we did this, little program where we did some, something in the community, where largely white businesses took advantage of that.
He started with the Central Park five innocent young men in New York. He called for the death penalty. Where has he ever called for the death penalty for anybody else?
Joe Biden wasn't sued by the federal government because he refused to provide housing to black people.
Yes. You see, black people who manage to find it in their best interest to go against the communal interests of black people do not a black friends make. That is not the kind of in case of emergency savior that you're looking for. And now, what advice are these black friends giving you now?
For him to say that we are in some way synonymous with mugshots, he didn't say some blacks, he said the black population identified with it, because that's who we are, criminals, thugs. That's what he thinks of us.
We've all seen the mugshot, and you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. They do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece.
For him to say that, imagine if Barack Obama had said that about whites.
And the moral of the story, I have black friends, or some of my best friends are black, is no defense against racism when those people hate black people too.
When I thought about his 34 felony convictions, his sexual assault on a woman in a public place, his being fined $400 million for business fraud, I thought to myself, Donald Trump isn't just a convicted felon. Donald Trump is a one-man crime wave. America bows to no one, no one ever.
That's it. That is it. Whatever that is, just bottle it up and take 3 shots before you appear in public. Matter of fact, just down the whole bottle of that thing. Just treat it like Mad Dog 2020. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. I'm gonna be honest, Joe. I was kind of hurt. I mean, I've been telling people about your record and all the things that you could potentially save this country from, and I felt like it was me out there. Like I really did.
I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. As easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
I love that. I'm actually really glad to hear that. And I'm glad to hear you know right from wrong, because whoever was working with you at Camp David on that debate was dead wrong. And we need to be honest and send them to Indeed or Monster.com.
I give you my word as a Biden, I would not be running again if I didn't believe with all my heart and soul I can do this job.
Well, that means so much that you would say something like that, although I would be remiss if I didn't say that Hunter beat me out of some money on a business arrangement we made for some party favors back in '99. But I appreciate the sentiment. People have been asking questions, and some of them are talking spicy.
Let's continue the breaking news right now. The New York Times editorial board once again calling for President Biden to drop out of the race. CNN political director David Chalian is joining us on the phone right now. David, this is a big deal. Give us your reaction.
It's no doubt a big deal. This is part of what is a moment for Joe Biden, Wolf, in his 52-year career in politics on the national stage that he has never experienced before. This kind of political pressure that is being applied now from editorial boards as prominent as the New York Times, from the donor class, from party stalwarts inside the Democratic Party, elected officials. There is this growing chorus of political pressure, all of which we should note may amount to nothing.
Although, if we're going to be honest, the New York Times still employs Maggie Haberman, so their judgment ain't the best.
Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat for everything America stands for.
And don't forget, a threat to women, literally and figuratively. All right, so we're doing this. Now, what time you want to get started? Because we need to fix some things. I'm involved now. I'm hands-on.
I don't know what you did last night, but I spent 90 minutes on the stage debating a guy who has the morals of an alley cat.
You know what? You're right. You probably should hit the clinic and get checked out, because some of that stuff is airborne.
Did you see Trump last night? My guess, he set, I mean it sincerely, a new record for the most lies told in a single debate. He lied about the great economy he created. He lied about the pandemic he botched, killing millions of people. He closed businesses. He closed schools. losing their homes, people all over this country. America was flat on its back. So I told Trump that he was just one of two presidents in American history who left office with fewer jobs than he started. Herbert Hoover was the other one. That's why I call him Donald Herbert Hoover Trump.
Okay, your people won't tell you this, but that nickname is trash. Yeah, just get rid of it. Yeah, it is trash. Well, you can go with Conald, Rump, Orange Turd, literally anything over that.
And then he lied about how great he was for veterans.
Yeah, I heard that. Took credit for Obama's work, man. They always stealing black jobs.
But then I told him how he had called a veteran and had given their lives in the country in World War I and refused to go to the grave sites. He called them suckers and losers. He tried to deny it. But let me ask you, are you going to believe a 4-star Marine general, his own former Chief of Staff, John Kelly, who said he said that? Or a disgraced, defeated, and lying Donald Trump?
You know, I said in a previous video that I would trust the letters LIE on the sidewalk over anything Trump had to say, but I need to amend that to I would trust CNN to moderate a debate over anything that Trump has to say.
For all his lies, we learned some important truths about Donald Trump last night. We learned he's still proud of being the person who killed Roe v. Wade. We learned he's still proud about the pain and cruelties inflicted on America's women. We learned he still believes that politicians, not doctors and women, should make decisions about a woman's health. We learned that if he's elected again and the MAGA Republicans pass a national ban on abortion, he will sign it.
We also learned that he doesn't take pride in anything over his golf game. You remember that whole hush money trial when it came out that he wanted everybody to know that he played well? You know, the man is literally has his family and his finances and his freedom at stake, and he wants everybody to know that I hit par. Yeah, that kind of dude. Also, we learned apparently he thinks that Stormy is a supporting actress at best.
And most dangerously, though, we learned that Donald Trump will not respect this year's election outcome.
Yeah, Joe, we didn't learn that. We knew that.
He's still not respecting the last time out. Well, think about it. Every court in Newnan ruled that it was a fair election. He's still denying it, still telling lies. 3 times Trump was asked last night by the moderators, would he respect the election results if he lost this time? 3 times he refused to answer. 3 times. Folks, Donald Trump refused to accept the results in 2020. We all saw what happened on January the 6th. It's a direct consequence of that. It was an international embarrassment. By the way, as I go to these international meetings, I know every major world leader, and I literally, because I've been around, as you might have noticed. But they asked me, did he really mean this? Was this real? It caused a constitutional crisis and international embarrassment.
Embarrassment? Trump? Shame? Yeah, we didn't learn that. We knew that.
How about the fact that 40 out of his 44 top advisors, including the vice president, aren't supporting him this time around? The people who know him best, 40 of them said, I will not support the man I work for this time around. It tells you a lot about the person who knows him. Look, he lied about how great he was on crime. I had to remind him that he oversaw a record increase in murder rates in 2020. On my watch, violent crime has hit a 50-year low. There's more to do with a 50-year low. And then I pointed out that the only convicted criminal on the stage last night was Donald Trump. When I thought about his 34 felony convictions, his sexual assault on a woman in a public place, his being fined $400 million for business fraud, I thought to myself, Donald Trump isn't just a convicted felon. Donald Trump is a one-man crime wave.
That's it. That is it. Whatever that is, just bottle it up and take 3 shots before you appear in public. Matter of fact, just down the whole bottle of that thing. Just treat it like Mad Dog 2020. That's the stuff.
And unlike the other guy, we're going to stand up to dictators like Putin, because America bows to no one. No one ever.
Yeah, sprinkle some of that on there too. That's your chaser. I like this.
And we're still the beacon to the world. We can never give up what makes America America. Donald Trump is motivated by revenge and retribution. Well, revenge and retribution never built a damn thing. You and I, we Americans, are a nation of hope, optimism, and possibilities. That's what always built America. And that's going to continue to build America today. The choice in this election is simple. Donald Trump will destroy our democracy. I will defend it. So, folks, are you with me?
Yeah! We must protect this house! What time is it? Game time? Who?
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot.
There is a very special kind of triggered that you get by a black woman. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, I know being MAGA is hard because there are so many things that trigger you, like a black president or a Hindu prayer, an Indian VP.
Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian.
Even an Indian VP's wife. Women thinking.
And this is one of the great tricks that I think the sexual revolution pulled on the American populace, which is this idea that, like, well, okay, these marriages were fundamentally, you know, they were maybe even violent, but certainly they were unhappy. And so getting rid of them and making it easier for people to shift spouses like they change their underwear, that's going to make people happier in the long term. And maybe it worked out for the moms and dads, though I'm skeptical.
Basic logic and reasoning.
Meaning Donald Trump is president now.
He's president now. I believe he is.
But how would that work? Because Joe Biden has been the president, right?
Obama's been the president. Obama said that he would like to run a third term if he could sit in his basement and call the shots, and that's exactly what he's doing.
But you just said that it's Obama's third term, but also that Trump is president.
He's calling the shots on all this mess that's going on right now and all the disasters that he's caused. Yeah.
But how is Obama calling the shots if Trump is still president?
Obama is sitting back and telling Biden what to do.
Well, what is Biden if he's not the president?
He's a bumbling fool right now.
But why would it matter if Obama was telling Biden what to do if Biden's not president?
Say that again.
Why would it matter if Obama was telling Biden what to do if Biden wasn't president?
But there is a very special kind of triggered that you get by a black woman.
In fact, you know, if we would have said 3 weeks ago, Blake, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously.
See, brother, what they want you to do is engage in pick-me behavior. When they attack the black woman, they want you to feel so much relief that their boot isn't on your neck that you leave her exposed. Enter Joy Reid, who, as far as I'm concerned, just said the sky was blue and water is wet.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew. That there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times aggressively pursuing his medical records? It's just weird. Just a strange thing that I've noticed. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it too, but it's weird.
And just look at the shambles that were left behind. This is bad as when they found out about the dude from Creed. Now, I mistakenly took y'all seriously, so I thought I must have missed something. I must have missed something. So I took a second look.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details.
That's a fact.
We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing.
That is a fact.
Why? Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him.
That is a fact.
We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not?
Can you dispute any of this? Can you dispute any of this?
Nobody knew. That there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo.
Once again, true.
And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird.
Is it not weird? Is it not weird? I believe so, because if not, you wouldn't have all these think pieces coming from the right side of the aisle trying to investigate the Secret Service.
And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times, aggressively pursuing his medical records? It's just weird. Just a strange thing that I've noticed. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it too, but it's weird.
Now, what's wild to me is not only stating facts, but articulating what we don't know, and apparently that is defamatory to say what we don't know. Oh man, MAGA is so consistent. You gonna believe me or your lying eyes? They are very consistent about that. Got people going as far as to say it's grounds for a lawsuit. That is crazy. You know what? You can actually quiet all of this noise with transparency. Yeah. See, that is the wonder of transparency, is it quiets this noise. With the lack of transparency, you amplify this noise. Yeah. The police been dealing with that for a very long time. Yeah, that shooting was 100% justified. Oh yeah, we got video, we got footage. Can you see it? No. You come walking in the house at 3 in the morning and you get asked, where were you? Now, you tell me what would be received better. Oh, you know what? I had some car trouble, so I decided to call my mans. We ended up going out, hitting a couple bars. One thing led to another. I forgot what time it is. Or, what you asking? Why you always bothering me? Huh? Why you always bothering me? What? It's one thing or another. So what? I got a feather boa and go-go boots. This is how I left the house. Amber Rose, what you want? See, hi, Joy Reid. I've never said I wasn't black. I said I identify as biracial. I'm not going to invalid my white father to make you feel more comfortable. Stop being a race baiter. Your president does enough race baiting for all of us. Let me see what exactly Joy Reid said to trigger all this.
So it's ironic that they were able to recruit this young woman who, she's a racially ambiguous. I don't want to say she's black because she has said she's not. So I don't want to say this black woman, this woman who is of whatever race that she has claimed. She said she's not black. But they brought somebody whose whole career is based in black culture. She used to be on a show on BET. That's the reason most people know who she is. She dated one of the most prominent African-American rappers in the business in the history of hip-hop. So her whole culture came from black culture, even though she says she's not a black person herself. And the fact that she is now the person they're using to try to recruit young people of color and to say that this is the person who is the endorser of Donald Trump who you should trust, when she won't even claim the culture that brought her to the table, I'm dubious that this will work. I don't know anyone who takes their political cues from Amber Rose, but just in case you do, you might want to duplicate doing your own research because she might not have done it thoroughly.
Now, first of all, it's good that you got the talking points. It's good that you got the race baiting talking points. So clearly they're getting their money's worth. But I find it weird that on the one hand, you say, I never said I wasn't black, but then said I didn't want to invalid my white father. That doesn't make any sense. That literally, like, pick a struggle.
You think that's how people perceive you, and is that how you perceive yourself?
I do not consider myself a black woman.
It's also, I find it most entertaining the fact that you said you didn't want to invalid your white father, invalidate, I assume, your white father, as if we would want you to, like as if we would want you to be more black. Like, do you think that we're yearning for you to be a part of the family? Like, is that what you think? That we're upset that you're not brought closer into the bosom of black America? That's what you think the problem is? You probably would think that. You probably would think that. Yeah. Because I'm sure, who knows? what you've been told when you out here in these streets running into dudes whose car broke down in feather boas and go-go boots. I think that you should spend a little bit more time cleaning up the whole crypto thing. Yeah, that's probably what you want to do. See, that is allegedly why she is MAGA now, because apparently she's trying to get in front of any potential charges that she might be facing by cozying up to the man who might be president. I will say this, far be it for me to ever, and I mean ever, defend Amber Rose, but if you lose money investing with Amber Rose, you deserve to be broke. I'm sorry, you deserve to be broke. That money was not long for your pockets. I am sorry. If you invest your money with Amber Rose, you make worse financial decisions than the people on her OnlyFans. Also, I would stay far, far away from Jocelyn. As far as MAGA is concerned, hey, not only is she talking race baiting, but she attacking Joy Reid. So I think y'all got a good prospect. Yeah. She showed she got promise. New Bern had not held a mayoral election since at least 1965. 1965, despite changes in demographics and voting rights laws. Welcome to Racist of the Week, where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination and hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. Today's nominee, former mayor of New Bern, Alabama, Haywood Stokes III, his city council, the People's Bank of Greensboro, and the postmaster at the U.S. Post Office. Now, those are all the people named in a lawsuit filed by a black man who won the 2020 mayoral election in the town of New Bern, Alabama, but was prevented from assuming office. He has fortunately just recently reached a proposed settlement with New Bern. Now, you might be asking yourself, how would they just prevent the man from taking office? Like, he got charges? Was the man a felon? Because, you know, we don't allow felons to do a whole lot of things in this country. But they could be president. No, that wasn't it. Patrick Braxton is set to officially become New Bern's mayor pending court approval, marking the first time in the town's 166-year history that a black person will hold that position. Now, it's located approximately an hour from Selma in western Alabama. New Bern has a population of 133 according to the last census, and it is 85% black. And you know what? A place that is 85% black, having their first black mayor, that should already be Racist of the Week. I have questions. I have questions for how something like that could happen. But you might be asking, well, why would it be Racist of the Week? Because this sounds like a celebratory moment. Well, it ain't. Here's where it gets crazy. Following his swearing in, Braxton alleged in a lawsuit that the previous white mayor, Haywood Stokes III, and yes, I had to check to make sure that man was white. I mean, Haywood Stokes III, that's the kind of white man that would get an invitation to the cookout just on general principle. Like, they wouldn't even look at the headshot. Haywood Stokes III? Oh yeah, go ahead and send that registered mail. Braxton claims that Haywood Stokes III, white man, and the majority white city council denied him full access to the mayoral office. Braxton, along with 4 residents he tried to appoint to a new city council, along with support from the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund, filed a legal challenge to uphold the election results. Now, this is MAGA gone wild. Now you gotta file lawsuits to uphold election results. This is what they do. So it's not about who gets the most votes or who actually won the election. I guess it's just about who holds the keys. We'll hold that thought. Braxton claims that he was literally locked out of the town hall town mail, and financial accounts used to govern the city's budget. They are treating City Hall like a landlord situation. You just gonna lock the man out like, hey, we didn't get them votes, but we got that locksmith over, so it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. I'm just gonna stay right here because I got squatters' rights now. Yeah, I got squatters' rights, so technically that makes me the mayor. They can't make me leave. And you locked him out of the accounts, which you just took all the laptops. You just raided the place like a smash and grab on Rodeo. I'm baffled. I'm baffled that these are the lengths that people will go to preserve power these days. By the way, that is exactly what Trump should have done. He definitely should have changed the White House locks. I shouldn't have said that out loud. I'll probably give him some ideas. The lawsuit also alleged that to prevent Braxton from appointing a majority black town council, the defendants held a secret meeting and orchestrated a special election where only incumbents were eligible, effectively preventing any new appointments. So if you're scoring at home, they held a double secret meeting amongst themselves and held an election amongst themselves where only they were eligible, despite the fact that you literally have residents that had an actual election. Like, just taking all the agency away from the people. Who they think they are, the Supreme Court? Now, the settlement affirms Braxton as the rightful mayor of New Bern with all corresponding powers and duties under Alabama state law, as it should. By law, Braxton was the sole qualified candidate. In 2020, then a volunteer firefighter, Braxton was the only one to actually submit paperwork to run for mayor. Stokes had never filed the paperwork in the past and was always allowed to just assume the position. This is also the same scenario for the council. Let me read that last part again. Stokes, the former mayor, had never filed paperwork in the past to run for mayor. He was always allowed to just assume the position of mayor. And that is exactly the same scenario for the council. Now, I know exactly how much you love to tell people to assume the position, but I've never seen it play out like this. That is wild. So what we have here is a cabal of white men that have assumed power over this majority black town, preventing them from having any sort of say-so in their well-being. I mean, even driving Miss Daisy wasn't this offensive. Notably, the settlement actually doesn't require the defendants to admit any wrongdoing, and that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. If we gonna force Rachel Dolezal to come out here and admit that she perpetrated a fraud and that she has a feet OnlyFans account, how do you get to take all of the voting and electoral power away from almost 200 black people and not have to admit to it in public? Make that make sense. If I have to acknowledge where I was when I slide in the house at 2:15 and I accidentally step on the dog's food bowl and wake up my wife, then you should have to publicly acknowledge taking the electoral power away from 200 black people. Like, that's just, I mean, really, like, come on, what are we doing here? By the way, Leah Wong, an attorney with the Legal Defense Fund representing Braxton, characterized the settlement as a positive step, enabling the town to move forward. She noted that despite the challenges, most black residents continue to recognize Braxton as their mayor throughout the ordeal. Now this makes perfect sense why they wanted to settle, because wasn't nobody respecting him as mayor. That's what it is. There wasn't nobody respecting him as mayor. They just put a little badge and a little sticker on his forehead and told him he was Superman, like you do that weird kid in the 4th grade. I didn't know you could even have multiple people walking around as mayors. If I was Braxton, I would just follow him around and tell people to do the opposite and just troll him until he walks off the job. Now, under the terms of the settlement, Braxton must submit names of residents to the Alabama governor for potential appointment to the town council within 14 days of the settlement's effective date. If the governor doesn't appoint council members, Braxton will oversee a special election by December 31st, 2024, alongside the regularly scheduled elections in 2025. Additionally, the town agrees to cover the plaintiff's attorney fees using town funds and will undergo an independent audit of its finances agreed upon jointly by Braxton and Stokes. Now, here's where they got me messed up. So you want Braxton to assume mayoral duties of the town that now has to pay for the nonsense fraud that you've been perpetrating for years? Word? So basically that's gonna come out my pocket. That's what you're telling me? Why they act like we can't read? No, Haywood Stokes III needs to pay for that. And if he don't have the money on him, tell him to sell some of his hats and some of his cigars. Because I know he got them because his name is Haywood Stokes III. Now, the more I read, the more angry I became at it. Like, get this. A lifelong New Bern resident and volunteer firefighter, Braxton challenged the town's leadership to better serve its majority Black community. The lawsuit highlighted that New Bern had not held a mayoral election. You remember I said how Stokes just assumed power? New Bern had not held a mayoral election since at least 1965. 1965. Despite changes in demographics and voting rights laws, they haven't had an election since the Voting Rights Act. Yes, as soon as the Voting Rights Act came out, they were like, oh, not my darkies, mine not voting. I tell you that. We gonna find a way around that civil rights. I tell you that. That's exactly what we gonna do. That is wild. Now, while the defendants denied any conspiracy or racial discrimination in court filings, the resolution of the case marks a significant milestone in New Bern's civic history, acknowledging and rectifying long-standing racial disparities in local governance. In fact, Braxton at 57 says that when he won his election during the height of the pandemic, a white woman told him that the whites in the then 166-year-old city were, quote, not ready for a Black mayor. She told him in 2020 that they weren't ready for a Black mayor. They had a Black president. And they not ready for a Black. If you're not ready for a Black mayor in 2020, you're never going to be ready for a Black mayor. That is exactly who you are. Emmett Riley III, a professor at the University of the South, put it perfectly, saying, quote, it is a clear case of white people attempting to seize and maintain political power in the face of someone who went through the appropriate steps to qualify and run for office and by default wins because no one else is qualified. And you know what? I would have to agree. I can't even pick what was the most wild part of this story. The fact that they tried to win an election by having the locks changed, the fact that they hadn't had an election since 1965, since the voting rights, these people hadn't even exercised their new civil rights. Are there other civil rights that they haven't exercised yet? This is like a voting episode of Juneteenth. Do we need to now acknowledge New Bern and the moment that they finally realize that they have the ability to vote? And what other civil rights have they not been exercising? I need to know exactly how free New Bern is. That is how wild this story is. But I do want to congratulations to you, Haywood Stokes III, and your invitation to the cookout is long gone. His city council and the People's Bank of Greensboro and the postmaster at the U.S. Post Office, you are our racists of the week. As always, if you have somebody you would like to nominate, go ahead and leave it in the comments, or you can email me at reese.waters@gmail.com. A bunch of you guys suggested this story, and I very much appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe to the page to make sure you get notified when the next video drops.